sucks, but it is what it is. Just gotta learn from it and move
Yep.
on.
You get carded, and I look at them like, are you serious? We gotta do it for everybody, sir. I'm just kidding, I said. Even though you know they are, but she's,
Yeah, we haven't really decided how we're gonna move forward, like if we're gonna have to, I thought about getting like one of those actual, like things you stick the card in and it reads it for you and everybody has to give you.
did they show a fake, did they actually show the ID?
No,
Oh.
she didn't ask, so,
That's what sucks.
yeah.
Well, it's hard to train kids, like at Hy-Vee, like that's even
Yep.
harder
Hey, what's
if
up?
you have younger people.
How are
I
you?
was telling him
Good,
it's just
you?
frustrating because it was a 20-year-old that came in with a 30-year-old cop and they came in.
What are we doing with all these papers here? We get more papers now than we ever did,
Oh
Dagmar.
boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I guess we can just move
Oh
on.
boy. You are the
Sharon's not
chief.
coming, so.
No. Yeah, council meeting tonight too.
Nope. This is it was a 5 Monday, January, so then we had an extra week off. You know, if there's 5 Mondays, then we get 3 weeks between meetings instead of 2.
You guys need a break anyway.
2 times a year that happens. Riley needs a break.
You guys all do.
So
No time for breaks.
that's, did this replace whatever this was? Is that what this
Oh,
replaces?
was that dumb thing? Something is wrong with, yeah, because the new copy machine, that's what it does.
I'm like, oh, I can't see.
So stupid.
Mine
I've told
worked.
Mike,
Kinda weird.
I have no idea.
Is this what?
no,
she
that's,
handed
did you
out?
print it on the copier?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's because of the
You gave me
copy.
two, I didn't give you one.
Theirs isn't like that. Did yours
I don't know
print?
what.
Yeah, hers is
I don't,
like
we must not have got
That's
this
the
one.
copy
I was like,
machine.
what the heck?
Anytime there is,
That's hilarious.
no, it's really not, because I
Are
do
we
it
on camera?
constantly. So, yes,
We're very quiet.
time to start.
Call a meeting to order.
Are we roll calling?
Yeah, roll call, please.
Roush,
Here,
Moderna,
Here?
or
Here.
Simon,
Here.
McLeese.
everybody get a chance to look at the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment. It doesn't look like we have anybody. So we'll go to number 5. Approve meeting minutes from December 4th, 2023. Do I have, everybody get a chance? That was here. Was everybody here for that one?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 6, month-end financial reports, December 2023, January 2024. Everybody get a chance to look at it and all that, month-end financial reports? Does anybody have any questions on it?
I don't, unless there's something that I missed that's sticking out, but there shouldn't be too much.
Quiet time of year.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep. So, I don't have any, nothing.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I will make a motion to approve.
I'm just still looking.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, pickleball project update.
I met with the group again. Obviously, some of their people are snowbirding, so they're not all here, but we kind of talked about, they did some grant research. There's a few that could be a possibility that we could look at, not necessarily like timing right now. Sometimes, you know, they're the ones like the CAT grant where you have to get the money in at the end. So they worked on those kinds of things and kind of tried to explain to them similarly to what we did in the case with the library, you know, getting a core group together, having one-on-one conversations, that you're not just going to send out a mailer and have people send checks in. So just tried to help them out on that stuff. And now that they're past the first of the year, you know, they're fine with regard to the enhancement committee that they can start fundraising. So They also, may want to look at pledges if it's a little bit longer project where, it's great if we get the donations, but if not, we would move along and see what happens. So they're working on some flyers and things like that.
So how many courts were they, depends on how much gets donated? Was that how we left it?
I think the first phase was 4, and then the second phase was adding another 2, so 6 total potentially.
You could fit 6 in that area, and I think, like at the low end, it's 35, and at the high end, it's 45. So at 4, you're talking at the high end of like 180. So if they can raise that much, if for
So
some
for 4
reason,
courts, 180 grand, complete.
that's including fencing, the concrete, stuff like that. All the
And there's room
fences.
for 6?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, there's a slight variation to the road. When you want to put like parking along there, you may have to shift the road slightly, but it isn't like it's a perma road. It's kind of just Mike Beck's gravel that was put out there, so.
And at one point, we talked about putting the trees. Would that be included in that, or is that just kind of an afterthought if?
Just
needed
whatever
to?
we would do after that, yeah. And that number was based on Eastern Iowa Excavating
Yeah.
recently doing another project, giving us that kind of low to high range of 35 to 45. So obviously, if it was only 35, you'd be looking at 160. I just kind of keep explaining, like I went over with them how much the park board gets. Even if we took a full year, that's only giving them less than a third of what they cost. So that would be if you allocated a whole year's worth. So then we kind of go through, how come we can't just get more money for parks? And I'm like, well, because there's this pie and we have to give everybody a little piece of it. So there's no way that, we can give you that much more. The council can't afford to. So.
Have they started any fundraising? I know you said they're gonna be making flyers, but have they actually
I don't think they've gone and had
Establish
real
anything?
conversations yet, no. I said obviously it helps if those of you that are going and making pitches, you need, most likely you should be making a donation. Because if you're gonna go ask other people to make a donation and then you're not gonna make a donation, probably not gonna have an easy time. So, I just kind of explained our core group of people, like the library board and all that, everybody had to sort of fill out their commitment cards. And then that started. And then we said, who are the core supporters of the library? And then after that, business people. And then after that, the general public. So I said, you really have to figure out, if you guys want this, you can't just expect the rest of the town to pay for it if you're not going to. So see where that gets them. And I think they understand this is definitely not this summer. I don't think they think that that's,
I'm sure
Like
that,
that they're
I'm
gonna-
sure that's,
I would think a 25 or 26. But at the same time, sometimes, do you kind of peter along and only get a little bit here and there, or do you just kind of go gangbusters? And so, but even if they were to get it this spring, probably not going to happen this year, so. If they could get it compacted, get it done, then we could look at doing it in 25.
So hopefully next year.
I would think that would be,
so if they,
Ideal.
if by chance they did raise 180K, why couldn't they? Just because the area is not ready for it yet?
maybe. I mean, if they got it done by April, I suppose we could do a late summer, early fall project, but it still takes time to get it.
Contractor to do it, that'd be the problem.
Yeah.
Like most contractors aren't just sitting around if we ask them to do something. in the
How long does
summer.
it take, how long would it take to construct 4 pickleball courts? Concrete fencing?
You have to ask Chad or somebody.
Yeah.
So,
There is a possibility, they might get the spring, but if by chance they had it all,
and if they got some really generous
Mm.
people, yes, possibly.
let's say even August, they had it all. And if they were, able to line it up and get it before, look at how some of these falls have been. These guys have been, they worked all the way up through December this year.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's just a matter of, I didn't know if there was something that we could not do it out there, that you were saying 25 or even 26.
No.
Okay.
It's more, in my mind, it was how long it would take to fundraise, and even if they got it done now, to be able to you know, like it's over the threshold of 165, most likely, so we have to bid it out.
That's what I
Like,
was
we
just gonna
can't
ask. It's going through the city. They're not going off on their own to.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
would've
it all
let
had
them.
to
so
go
even
through
if they got all that money and they want to pick a certain contractor to do it, it's gotta be bid. 165 is the cutoff, or 150, or where do
It's
you?
like 160 something.
Mm. I'm dealing with that right now down in Tennessee. Yeah, so I get it.
There's a threshold for vertical and horizontal.
Mhm.
So road projects, or, and that's like another thing I'd have to find out is this considered horizontal or vertical? Because of the stuff above ground.
I know, it's kind of a,
It's mostly horizontal, but it's kind of sort of vertical too,
yeah.
so. And it's a much different threshold. Like, it's like in the 160 for one and like only 70,000 for the other. So I think if it's considered horizontal, it's even less. So,
Okay.
I would say it has to be bid. Doesn't have to be crazy, insane process, but it still has to have prices given to us.
All right, number 8, approval of advertising for 2024 swimming pool staff and wages.
So I gave you a memo with what we paid people last year. And then kind of explained my thoughts.
I did do some checking with other cities as well, just to, because we usually just kind of check around. 50 cents was kind of the norm, however, we were a little higher, so it basically kind of breaks even with us as to what she's suggesting.
I didn't hear this. Was there any resistance last year? Because that was a
I
kind of
mean,
a
as far
big-
as like wages?
Yeah, for wages and, no. I mean, I agree with everything here in the memo. I mean, are you thinking more or less, or not?
No, I was just
Oh.
trying to, I just know it's something that we always just kind of check. So I
Yeah,
just called
yeah.
around to check, just to see like if everybody else was given increases or how everybody else was doing with their hiring process and,
So she's basically saying they're giving a bigger wage, but they pay less to start.
right,
So our 25 cents,
gets us to the same basically
Mhm.
wage is what they.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
and obviously anybody that's coming back is gonna get a 50-cent raise,
What's
not
an
a
average?
25-cent raise.
What's an average, how many hours does like the assistants put in?
I'd say 20 to 30.
And then the guards, the regular guards are,
It depends on what they want.
yeah.
Like some of them want under 20, some of them want over 20.
Mm.
It's like a question on the application, over or under 20.
And I think, remind me, I should know this, but on that 730 a week for the manager, is that, are they required to put in what?
I mean, their
Is there
salary,
in a salary, so usually on a salary is
I think
40 or
that, I
45.
think in their head, they think about 40.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And at 750, that would put them at 1875 an hour. If you benched it off 40 hours.
What's this $22 per hour for private swimming lessons?
Remember that whole thing that we switched where they used to get all the money?
Okay,
And then we switched it to hourly.
So that's what they get per hour when they do private lessons.
Remember
what
they
they
used to
get.
get like all $80?
So when the families pay for the private lessons, the checks are written to the pool, not to the guard, because they used to be written to the guard.
Yeah, no, they all have to sign up through here now,
Okay.
or through online.
So we had some people paying guards, some people not paying guards, stuff, and we made it very clear to the staff.
So does this come out of, like, the $22 per hour? Is that,
Comes out of the fees.
okay.
So basically, when they used to get all the money,
Mm-hmm.
like we were saying, like, we're paying a lot of money to operate a pool, that then none of the funds for the swimming lessons are coming towards chemicals, heat, all that kind of
I
stuff
get
that
it.
goes with it. So now, what we switched last year was saying of the 80, 85, whatever you're paying for a private lesson, that more than half goes to the guard and the rest goes to the city. And we made that transition and I think we're fine. But because it's a high amount, I'm not proposing that change because I didn't propose in here, or we didn't agree to switch private lesson fees.
Yeah, 'cause
So
if that
they're
goes
not
up, the
going
le-
up.
yeah, if the lag, they have to go up appropriately, so. We raised them for parents last year.
So I'm saying that have the public lessons go up just slightly, because if we're paying them a little bit more per hour, they get their regular guard wage for the public lessons. So if we're gonna pay them 25 more cents or 50 cents if they're coming back, we wanna be able to cover that cost. So at the $2 per kid, you know, like I said, it's a weird number, but whatever, who cares? 45 to 47. So at $2, say there's classes that had 4 kids in them, and there's classes that had 20 kids in them. So at 20 kids, you'd make $80 more, and at 4 kids, you'd make $8 more. And then if you're paying 50 cents times the guards were 2 to 4 per group.
Yeah, we use every guard for the week that we have public lessons.
Right, but I'm saying if you're taking it as a class, like one group.
Depends on.
level.
It depends on the little and bigness of them.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, there was 4 kids. When I was there that one day, it was 4 kids to 16 or 17 kids, students. And then the guards were like 2 to 4, 2 or 3, right?
Mhm.
So then if you look at so on 3 lifeguards, that the class is 2.5 hours, right? So then you have 25 cents or 50 cents times a guard times 2.5 hours. So basically every
Times
kid
all
that
guard.
comes into the class is paying for 1 guard's raise. And if there's 3, so on a few, you might break even, and on a few, you'd make a couple bucks. But if we're gonna pay them more, then I just think the public lessons should go up a couple bucks. If we're not gonna increase the $22, then we don't necessarily need to increase the private lessons. And they're obviously higher.
So how long does it, am I reading that right? For a private lesson? Or what is this,
It's
70?
for a week. That's for
That's-
$70, 15 minutes for.
You
a
get
week.
5 days
Yeah.
that you come in for 15 minutes. So you pay $70 to have 1 guard to teach your kid for an hour and 15 minutes. Or if you want a 30-minute times 5 days, you get 2.5 hours. And you pay $100. So the better deal is,
Do they really come in just for 15 minutes?
Little ones, when they're tiny.
Oh, I guess, yeah. But it's 5 times, $70 for 5, yeah.
so they're there for
Okay.
15 minutes for, the goal is usually to do it
Gotcha, I
5
got
days
it.
in a row.
Okay.
1 week. That's why I say
Yep.
I was saying a week. It doesn't have to be a
Yep, yep,
week. Because in the private ones, the guard lines it up with the parent.
Okay.
So they might do
And
weekends.
then when they get old, if they haven't passed yet, they'll do that also, just to get working
Over
on
the
that
hump.
one thing they hadn't passed yet.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So
So-
are we looking, do we need to, I mean, on this recommendation here, do we need to vote on anything on this
Yes, because I
tonight?
want
Yes?
to advertise.
We need to vote on this here, we'll not wait until we would call the other people or anything like that.
If you're ready, I mean, you can certainly wait, but we're not going to advertise until,
We want
We
to start
approve it.
hiring for the managers.
Yep. Any other discussion?
the other debate, I guess, would be kind of, and we'll see who we choose for manager. But it's kind of like the manager does certain things, and then the assistants really are mostly just in charge of the day. And I do think that there may have to be some things that we have some of them do more of, like stuff that's being done at City Hall. I think there's more things that they can be doing at the pool.
Does the pool manager get any other benefits? No, just the salary.
Mhm.
Fabulous job of being the pool manager.
A
It's great
tan.
benefit. So kind of last year, we left it, we weren't sure how many we were gonna pick, or sort of this lead person versus assistant. So the only other thing that maybe it makes more sense to have some flexibility from the board is maybe there's truly only 1 assistant or 2, and that they each maybe get a little bit more, and then not have so many. But I don't know what the range was before I was here. There was different numbers, right? Of assistant managers. They haven't always
Yeah.
been the same.
Yeah, I would say there's always a couple,
Whereas last year we had
3.
3.
That seems to work pretty good.
The thing
they
is though, is
worked-
that they didn't do like,
They-
minus helping with the pool fun day.
Yeah, they worked, you know, some of them actually had to come in and work as like lifeguards in order to get hours if they weren't assistant managing, meaning in charge of the pool for their shift.
And they were okay with that.
Yeah, they don't care, they're getting paid.
But I think we have to look at some of the
But
jobs.
they would be getting paid, even though they're lifeguarding. they-
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
They get
they're just
paid.
getting paid their assistant manager
Gotcha.
wage. And they did work the pool parties. And they're usually the ones that actually sign up to work the pool parties that are extra. Like the pool parties like the city threw, they work those, but then they also work, they seem to be the ones that always sign up for the pool parties too.
So then would we need a lead guard if the assistant sometimes acted like a lead guard essentially, right?
It's more like if when the, like, when all the dust settles and we do interviews and see who applies, if there's maybe less assistants and more leads, is what I'm saying. So that a
Okay.
true assistant is like, a little bit more like Davis was, and I think we have to give them some more jobs, like, there's scheduling, ordering things, there's different things that I think they can be doing.
Okay.
That they're, in the assistant role, they were basically like in charge at the pool. They didn't really have like other jobs. Like they obviously have like test the water. One of them has to do that. But it's kind of hard until you really like who applies. You know, mostly the assistants are gonna be people that have been here before. So they're not gonna be new guards, so you don't know, like, I've reached out to them, the assistants, and of the three, I think two will for sure come back.
Well,
I will make a motion to move forward and accept the recommendation.
So everybody's going up 25 cents in their normal hourly, right?
Correct?
With the
$20
bumps.
for the manager. What?
With the bumps.
Yeah,
Per year.
the base is going up 25 cents, and then we're keeping the annual return as another 25 cents.
Correct.
Okay.
I make that motion.
And the $20 for the pool manager.
And then the $7.50 for the pool manager.
And then $2 for the.
so the pool manager has to put in 40 hours a week, right?
Mhm.
So the assistant managers, it's whatever they put in,
Correct.
correct? Okay.
Yeah, because they're hourly.
Yeah, none of them did 40 last year, but there was 3 of them, so.
Okay.
And sometimes it depends if they have other jobs. What were you saying about $2, Sammy?
The public,
The lessons.
right, the lessons,
Well, let's-
public lessons.
Do you want to have that in your motion, David, or do you want 2 motions for
No,
lessons versus?
what was that?
That the public lessons would go from 45 to 47, and then the private lessons would stay the same, was my recommendation, on the little chunk on the bottom of the page.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the wages, the wage increase
Mhm.
with the pool manager doing a minimum of 40 hours a week. And and for the lessons, the private stay the same with the public going up $2 to help cover the 25-cent pay hour raise. I recommend that we move forward with that, with both recommendations.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Carries.
So the budget sheets that I gave you were blank, just so you can kind of look at them, and then the new pages that I printed for you, I've stuck dollars in. Everybody has a new page, staple. So to give a little perspective on everybody getting their chunk of the pie, talk about this at council next week. So the state has limited our ability to tax. If you remember last year, around this time, there was a lot of conversations and we had to do stuff later. So basically, we used to be able to tax everybody per $1,000 in the city for every 1,000 that your house or business is worth at $8.10. They now limited that if you go up more than 6% in growth, that number is changed. So we're going up 9% based on our value. So yay, you grew. But unfortunately, when you grow that much, then they limit you. So our $8.10 per 1,000 is now $7.86 per 1,000. And so if the tax laws had not changed, the city council, if they wanted to levy the full dollars of $8.10, would have had access to about 79,000 more dollars for the whole city. So that includes everything you're doing for streets, parks, city hall, anything that's not water and sewer, basically, would be $79,000. Because they lowered that $8.10 to $7.86, we now have access to $50,000 more dollars for the whole city, minus water and sewer. So again, like what the ones that I listed, I also didn't list like libraries. So everything that we're doing, whether it's wage increases, unless you're generating additional revenue, which obviously we are here in the case of the pool a little bit with, we upped a few dollars for the annual pass or, the extra $2 here, like the whole city has $50,000 new dollars to work with. So for the most part, I tried to leave the numbers as consistent as I could. And until I get everything put in, I won't really know like where the dust settles, but I'll just kind of go over these numbers and then you guys can decide. But obviously, board member compensation isn't proposed to change.
Really?
Really, because I know you're here for that reason. Under building repair, I didn't up that, but you can see, I need to check that number, but we're already pretty high. I don't know if that was from those doors that we purchased. Yeah, so that was the park doors and then $2,000 for the fire. So normally we would be less than that. $3,000 for equipment repair. And again, pretty much these are all the same. $2,000 for fuel. The pavilion deposit refund account is a new account. Remember, we started doing deposits, so we have a corresponding revenue, of course. And then that's just the checks have to be an expense. So that's new, but not, it's kind of just balanced out. Utilities are $3,500. Insurance is projected to go up. That's like our liability insurance in the park, so I put that up to $4,000. The miscellaneous is also already over budget, but that's more of the gazebo, like hopefully that's just done. That was a little bit more of MSA finishing up the gazebo. And then the park improvements, of course, we haven't really spent anything yet. So I put in here to up that to 55. I don't know if we'll make that cut or not. And then I also upped capital to 4,000 from 2,000. So right now, that was what I'm putting in there, but some places I don't have all their numbers yet, so I'll kind of have to see how it all runs together in the pie. So I don't know if there's other things that you are thinking for parks.
It's kind of like, is there much of a gray area between, park improvements or capital equipment? I mean, it pretty much falls it's under the same umbrella.
Correct.
Okay.
So like you had 52 before.
It is, yeah, because sometimes, yeah.
Like equipment
Park-
might be if we got
park-
cameras or something.
Yeah, I get it. Yep.
Telephone, internet. Over 3,000.
No, not anymore. That was last year. I don't know what was in there for. I didn't print last year's. I don't know why that's in there.
So that's just out of there then.
Well,
correct?
you can see there's nothing in there this year.
What I
The
was looking
orange,
at
what?
Over here.
Yeah, that means last year that we
Okay.
ended in June. I'll
All
have to
right.
see what that is.
Gotcha.
But you can see there's nothing this
Yep.
year, and normally there wasn't the year before.
So that shouldn't run very much anyway, I wouldn't think.
It's just normally nothing.
Does the swimming pool even have a telephone over there?
That's
Yeah, but that's in the
on the
next
pool.
chunk.
Okay.
This is the
This is
park.
just parks.
This parks, yep.
And we did up our internet at the pool, because remember, we just had like the free public internet, and then that's what we were using, and then when we went to the iPads, we like needed our own internet, so. Any other questions on the parks?
Yeah.
So, again, once we have these numbers, now that you've approved that, I'll go back and try to run a little bit more, a little stronger equation, but I at least have put a couple thousand more, which then, of course, makes FICA go up. Work comp, again, it may go up. You can see we've spent more than $3,500 that we budgeted in past years, although, so I don't know what that's about. Like, clearly we're not budgeting enough, because we'll still have everybody's, like, we don't pay them in this fiscal year. You know how they all get reimbursed for their stuff? But in that would be anybody that we're paying to do lifeguard training.
Isn't there Ben stuff on there too?
It might be.
I think Ben stuff's
And
on
he
there
has to go
too.
here. He has to go this year as well, where he
Yeah.
doesn't go every year. But still, it would be anybody that's being paid for training.
Mhm. Oh, well, and it's went up like ridiculous in the last 2 years.
So I would think maybe that has to, what did I put there?
And
I
this
put
year.
4,000, so might have to put that higher. It just, it's a little bit random as well, because if people get a 2-year
Mhm.
approval and they come back, great. But if we paid them last year and then some of those people don't come back and everybody's new, you know how we reimburse the kids. But that would be in the next fiscal year, because we don't pay them till the end of summer in August. So what would be left in this account would be, like I said, if we're paying Taylor or whoever to teach the lifeguard class, or any fees. Do we pay, what was the pool that we rented last year? Because the kids would have all paid her, and then we would pay them at the end.
Mhm.
So there's probably not a lot left for this year.
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, I still think it probably needs to go up a little. Repair of the building. That probably was that whole debacle where we had a leak in the mechanical room. What account is that? Yeah, the pool heater was $1,700 of that $2,200, so normally we wouldn't have that. But I did up that to $1,000. Utilities, I feel like we budgeted high, because remember, like, the one year that we had,
Lots of heat.
and now I don't think it'll be as much. You can see from the July and August, although that's warmer, of course, but I still think we'll be okay.
That's
I did lower
literally
that.
weather dependent.
Interesting. And then advertising. Insurance is obviously high and been going up. You can see way over to the left, it was only 11,000, and it just keeps going up for liability. What's this swim team thing? Do we even do that anymore?
I think it's if like new equipment, like ropes or flags.
Do they
or-
still do swim team meet or something like that?
Yeah,
Do
there's
they?
2 of them now in the new pool. There used to be 1. But they do 2 meets. I think
Who's
they're here.
in charge of that?
Courtney Honda.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
That's like a volunteer thing that has nothing to
Mhm.
do with us.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's our pool.
But I think the expenses used to be like for equipment that stays at the pool that needs to be ordered.
So far, we're
Like
fine.
lane lines would be one thing,
Mhm.
blocks, but we're still
That should-
riding on the, when we built the pool stuff, so.
I don't know if they still have that yet or not, the meets.
Mhm. This miscellaneous expense of $305 is like refunds for people that paid
Mm.
lessons and then canceled. So that's really nothing. It's just kind of like the pass-through for the pavilion. Professional fees. There was a thing that we had not done in the past properly, that was a backflow preventer test that the inspector from Dubuque called us out on in our inspection, and we had to hire a contractor out of Dyersville to come in, so that was like 200 of it. And then the rest of it is our fees for Square, because we have the iPads now. So I upped that a little bit. Miscellaneous operating supplies is mostly chemicals. Some of it was like pool party stuff. But of course, for that, we also got, sponsorship and stuff. So I did up that a little bit. Pool concessions is just where we pay for the stuff. And then if you compare that to the revenue last year.
What was the revenue last year?
Just in these appropriate months, it was about double that. So on the next page, you can see, like, year-to-date, it was like 10,200, and we spent,
I didn't flip over.
no, you're fine, 5,500. Whereas if you look at, like, the whole year from the year before, it was, we spent 15 and brought in 18, so. But remember, last year, we upped the prices a bit, because it seemed like the year before, we were, like, barely charging a little bit more than the food, and obviously we're trying to pay for the stand itself or the wages, so. And then finally, capital equipment, I upped that. We haven't spent anything these last few years, so we'll have to look, or we may have to ask to put that like in a savings account, because probably next summer, like 25, we're gonna have to paint the pool. And that might cost 50 or 60,000. It's starting to get funky. And then finally, the revenue. The only one that I really upped, like, I don't think that those $2 are really gonna amount to much. So I did not up lessons. Concession stand, I did not up until we get like another year under our belt of those higher fees. And then admissions, I put a little bit more because you upped those for the annual passes. And we'll have to see, like, under one more year of lessons. You can see there was a big jump from 22 to 23, and that was not the COVID, right? Like, COVID would have been 21 where people paid. Yeah, but see, that's what I mean, like, people paid in 21, and then did they get, or was that just admissions where they got a freebie? Because it was the summer of 20 was COVID. So then that would have ended in
Would've been
20, and then 21 is
they
when it
would've
was
had
low,
Free, yeah.
but not lessons.
No, lessons were,
Like, people
Didn't
didn't,
really
like, if,
affect.
had they not signed up by the time you knew you were closing, right?
Correct.
All right, so, yeah, we'll just have to see. I just don't like to be overzealous in the revenue and then bomb out on the budget, so. So those were my thoughts on the budget, unless anybody has any different ideas. And again, we'll report back as we go, like, I just don't know where everything's gonna fall. Any questions?
I have none.
Any other business? How's the
Everybody
dog
up?
park?
It's just really all about the fence, and for some reason, I can't get anybody to call me back from hires. Left phone messages and emails. Not that they can put it in right now anyway, but I want to be first
Good.
on the, I don't know. I don't know if they are, I should say. I do know we don't have frost, so it's possible, but I don't know what they're doing. But at a minimum, when we would normally have done it, I would want to know that we're on the list. And then I talked to Patrick Diller. He was gonna get back in touch with me about that Eagle Scout who was gonna do the little pavilion roof over a picnic table thing. So hopefully they can do that this summer as well. And that's about it for the dog park. Get it
Is there
fenced
anything
in.
that's gotta be done down at the Riverview Park this spring or summer?
The biggest thing is, I emailed Mike, I haven't heard back from him. Delaney is like, we need to have cameras by summer. That to me, but I don't, it's just it's not an easy answer. Because you don't want to invest in cameras before we know how many we want everywhere for the system to retain the information. So I will check in with him again. And I don't think there's anything wrong at the park.
This may be a dumb question, but if we get cameras at one park and another park, will, like, they'll all be on the same, if they're at different parks, are they on like the same?
It's basically, that's what Mike's working on, which is the hard part, is like a housing of like all of it going to one central location, whether it's City Hall, the utilities buildings, their warehouse, Public Works garage, like all of that, wherever we put them gets like stored in the same place.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, slap up your ring or,
Do other cities have cameras throughout the city that's all under, let's say, one brain, one master brain? Yeah.
yeah. If you have
So-
like a little bit bigger city and they have like the PD, like if you have police dispatch, like it would all be housed there so they could see it all the time.
That makes
Hmm.
sense, I guess.
Interesting.
Because otherwise you'd just be doing like you have at your house,
Yeah.
and that's just not gonna cut it. Just don't get enough. So, the cameras themselves are not that expensive, it's really more the retaining of the information.
And you have to get Wi-Fi at all locations.
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah.
It's not that they have to be exactly there, but there at least has to be like a line of sight. Sometimes in some cities, there's like you end up with some sort of tower that allows you to do it. Easiest is Wi-Fi, but then that means you're paying for Wi-Fi on all these sites, and that's not, like some of them have them already. Like I don't think any of you do at the, not even at the plant. The plant you do, but not the warehouse. Like, we don't have the internet at the shop for the guys. We have it at the wastewater plant. We obviously have it here. So,
Yeah, I know.
it's just not like we'll whip them up easily. And I don't want to be like, let's just spend a few thousand, and then they're not a long-term solution, so. We're looking at other stuff, like they have, like license plate reader cameras that we could get, like, where the police department would be interested in, having them like at intersections or something to help solve crimes when people are coming in and out of town. Like those operate on a pole somewhere, and those are those are satellite, so there's no Wi-Fi at those either. But those you pay for like for the system itself, and they're pretty slick. Like you can say I saw a blue Jeep with a guy named Jagwood driving.
Crazy through
You
town.
gotta watch that guy too.
You can like read his
No
plate.
shirt on, do-rag on, foot out the door, ripping through town.
Who knows? He knows. Look at his face.
Yeah.
So they can like search by color, type, plate, and you can like read the plates. So, like then there's those and how, like looking at that kind of stuff too, so. But I'll check in with Mike. That's my biggest thing that I would like to see at the parks. But I don't think there's like there may be, I know the mayor talks about having some work done on the amphitheater roof because of how the water lays on the back side of the curvy, kind of like where the back side of the stage meets like the back of the bathrooms. There's like a ledge there, and it looks like maybe the wood is funky, getting rotten. So, I don't
Has he gone any further getting the tree carved out?
Yeah, no kidding. I'll have to ask him about that too. It's like literally we waited 9 months to get the park bathroom frames. It's just like the world is goofy now about priorities. Our well that needs to be repaired, it's been 6 months. And it's a water well. Like, it's important. But I'll ask the mayor if he's heard anything.
There's 3 years out, I still haven't painted the playground swing sets at the swimming.
Yeah. That's not really about money, but yes, we need to do that.
It's hard to get someone to do it.
Is there anything else?
That's all I have.
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
A second?
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Box cast.
Cookie, outstanding job tonight.
Oh.
I mean, really, this time I'm not kidding.
I don't know how I deal with the pressure.
You feel pressure?
Under
Not as
pressure.
much as you guys do.
Under pressure.
We're good.
I don't even see it on here.
It's like weird, because it was like,
I'm gonna go out of it. Oh my God.
I thought you were heading to Tennessee.
That got moved to next week.
I had it logged in
Yeah.
because I was shutting off the.
I'm
light.
glad, too.
I wonder-